But the Buhari commissions builds 3 million metric tons cement plant in Sokoto, and APC has done more than the United States government in infrastructure. That's what Fashola, former governor, is quoted to say. And you also have eliminate all bandits and terrorists. President orders the military. PSC rejects report on Kyari and seeks thorough probe, talking about the Hushpuppi case and the fact that the police officer is identified with that. But the Police Service Commission has rejected the report of the panel investigating the alleged connection between the suspended head of the intelligence response team, that's DCP Abba Kyari, and the suspected international fraudster talked about Hushpuppi, as is popularly known. But that's it this morning on the Leadership newspaper.
Let's move straight to the Nation. On Friday, we have the leading headline on the Nation newspaper: Buhari to military, don't spare bandits, terrorists. Don't spare bandits, terrorists. With the following riders: Northwest security situation giving me sleepless nights, and poor weather stops president's visit to Zamfara. At the top of the front page of the Nation newspaper, Fashola, we've achieved more than the United States in infrastructure. Don't abandon power shift to south, Ohaneze cautions. Dangote cement mops up 35.1 billion naira shares, and VAT controversy affected remittances, says FIRS. Still with the Nation newspaper, why manufacturers should cut cement prices by Emefiele. With the rider, President unveils BUA's plant in Sokoto. Adeye, Bamidele, 5 others boycott Ekiti APC primary. Fahimi's man declared winner. We'll look at that going on in the next segment. We have more stories at the bottom of the front page. Father gets life jail for impregnating daughter. Really, really strange and sad. And our chopper didn't crash. Of course, that's coming from the police there. Finally, ECOWAS leaders meet in Burkina Faso on Burkina Faso, Mali coups, and 6 Yahoo boys convicted. Those are the headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Away from the Nation newspaper this morning, we have the Daily Independent, and the banner caption says, I am overwhelmed by Northwest security situation. That's what the president is quoted to say. He says he has ordered the military not to spare bandits. Optimistic Nigeria will win battle over evil. And NNPC gets $5 billion from Afrimex Bank to drive investment in oil sector. You also have another caption saying FIRS exceeds 2021 revenue targets and generates 6.405 trillion naira. That's quite impressive, a lot of people would say. Reduced prices of building materials. Emefiele tells manufacturers a helicopter did not crash in Bauchi, and that's what the police is quoted to say. Will support investors adding value to local resources. Federal government is also quoted in that, and federal government revokes marginal oil field of 33 firms. And just before we move away from the Daily Independent, Buni gets Buhari, APC governors nod to preside over convention.
And finally, we go over to the Punch newspaper with these headlines. House security report forced Buhari to cancel planned subsidy removal. House security report forced Buhari to cancel planned subsidy removal. Very interesting read. It will make details on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. But it has the following riders. FG feared subsidy protests could be worse than end SARS. Source: reps to summon major oil marketers, transporters, customs, others, and the World Bank, IMF may decline Nigeria's loan requests over fuel subsidy. At the top of the Punch newspaper front page, unused GSM lines hit 108 million in 2021, says NCC report. PSC workers embark on 3-day strike over constables' recruitment. Supreme Court decides alleged 32.8 billion naira embezzlement by pension director April 22. 33 successful bidders lose FGs in marginal oil field awards. 33 successful bidders lose FG's marginal oil field awards. That will make some interesting read, and there's one that should not be missed. NNPC to deduct 127 billion naira from FAC and plans $5 billion Afrexim Bank loan. Police defer on AIB. Police defer. AIB begins probe of Bauchi police helicopter crash. That is the Accident Investigation Bureau. Can't wait to see what comes out of that. We have APC aspirants alleged fraud. Fireme's ex-SSG wins Ekiti governorship primary. Court remands NURT leader Kunle Poli and others over Lagos mayhem. We've been talking about the Idumota mayhem for some time now. Randy Man, 37, bags life imprisonment for raping 13-year-old girl sent on errands. Really sad. Kaduna reporter gets 1 million naira bail after 83 days in detention. That's 222, unfortunate. And finally, these following stories at the bottom of the front page. Abdul Razak solicits Assembly's nod to remove auditor, alleges misconduct. Ogun pastor arrested for camping, feuding housewife. Daughter's husband alleges sex romp. Ooh, that's a hot story right there. And finally, Tinubu, Nigeria's wisest choice for 2023 presidency, says Sanwo-Olu. My word, interesting. All right.
Well, let's have Jide Johnson share his thoughts on some of the stories this morning. Jide Johnson, it's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Mr. Good morning to the rest of the.
All right. Let's start off with the leadership newspaper. Civil society organizations and stakeholders in Nigeria have come up with some criteria for selecting the president come 2023, and some of which they say the candidate must be free of corruption, health issues, and must have capacity to revitalize the economy and create jobs, and must keep the IMF, that's the International Financial Institutions, very far. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, what the civil society should embark on is just citizen education. It's just educate the citizen mobilization, and not on what they should do with respect to their civic responsibility. Beyond the rhetoric of telling average citizen don't vote for this candidate, listing the criteria, they are not political parties. It is the political parties that will determine the selection process. They are not National Assembly that will make laws as regards to the eligibility or non-eligibility of candidates contesting for the election. Their responsibility should be to educate, to go on a massive public awareness campaign, a massive public education program, a massive public mobilization towards participation in the political process. And I think that should be the focus of civil society stakeholders and the rest of us that are involved with the media that are the fourth estate of the realm that has a responsibility of maintaining order in the society. That's my take on this particular issue. We need to educate the citizenry that their life depends on what they do when they enter into the polling unit to cast their vote. It is beyond sentiment of ethnicity, religion, and other kind of identity divide that we have used to divide ourselves, and beyond whatever anyone is going to give to them on the day of the election, probably in terms of food or in terms of monetary reward, as to incentivize them in casting their vote. That should be our focus, not talking about the candidate. We cannot talk about the candidate. We should tell the people what should be the guiding principle when we want to vote for candidates in the election. That's my take. That's my take on that. I think the civil society are putting the cart before the horse rather than put the horse before the cart.
So do you also think that this should also not be part of the sensitization message that should be put out for, out there to the electorates, the kind of candidates that should be looking out for?
No, you have to be strategic in the kind of communication you are putting out. Strategic in the kind of communication. If you empower the citizen with right education, and leave the selection of candidates to the party, let the party pick whoever they want to pick. But you educate the people on how they should go about expressing their civic responsibility. I think that's better. It's an holistic rather than it's an holistic approach rather than a selective or narrow approach to this particular issue. As far as I'm concerned, what we need is citizen education, citizen participation. A lot of youths don't participate in the process. How do we mobilize them? We need to go to campuses across Nigeria. And I think that's the direction we should be looking at. Campuses across Nigeria, educating the citizen. I remember while we were in secondary school, how Chief Ganifa Falano, and the rest of them, and the rest of all the members of the civil society, Nigerian Labour Congress, used to come to campuses to interface with student union and with the body of the student leadership with respect to participating in civic society. The active participation of the youth, of university students, of students in tertiary institute, even students in secondary school to a certain degree, was higher under military regime than what we have in a democratic dispensation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. G.A. Johnson. Let's look at the president's stance on security and his measures to try and curb the insecurity in different parts of the country. The story on the front page of the Leadership Friday is that he's telling the military to eliminate all bandits and terrorists. Eliminate all bandits and terrorists. What are your thoughts on this? This is 2022, and he's going next year, 2023.
Okay, when if you see the way the Independent cast the headline, it said, "I'm overwhelmed by Northwest security situation." Buhari, well, it's just like you in the studio telling us, the viewers, that you're overwhelmed by presenting this program this morning. What do you think they will do to you? Or what do you think you will do to me from this end if I tell you I'm overwhelmed by security, by presenting this program, by joining you, presenting this program? I don't know what to say. How many times the president has made this statement? He's the commander-in-chief of Federal Republic. It's his core responsibility. He sworn an oath to protect the lives and property and territorial integrity of man. It's an oath which is swore, and it does not need to direct or does not need to say he's overwhelmed about the security situation. And like you said, this is 2022. The president became president in 2015, and 2022 to 20, that's 7 years ago. No, so it's a failure on the part of the security apparatus and a failure on the part of himself as the head of the security network that we have in Nigeria. If we still have the challenges which we have in this country with respect to banditry and kidnapping and terrorism. And I think that it took the government too long to categorize and label bandits as terrorists. And I think we treated it with ignorance, and people, when elected officials begin to negotiate with non-state actors, when non-state actors becomes critical component of public governance, public policy formulation, and when they have opportunity of imposing their own views, their own policies on people by collecting taxes, by collecting levies, and by people negotiating with them to release their loved ones that have been kidnapped, and you have this type of gory situation. For me, as far as I'm concerned, at the end of his tenure, we'll see how we score Buhari when it comes to security issue, because that's one of the fundamental factors that helped him being elected in 2015. And now, if you look at the security situation of Nigeria in 2022 and compare it to the last years of Jonathan in administration, you agree with me that the security situation of Nigeria under Jonathan, who happens not to be a former military head of state and a former military person, is far better, except you want to pay to the gallery, because it's there. All we just need to do is to do a content analysis of all the front pages of newspaper in the last 7 years, and we look at which issue is the dominant issue that were reported by the media, and then we see that it's security issue that we keep reporting every day. So it's an indication of what happens in society. So let the president be living under the illusion that he's overwhelmed by the security challenges, because he sits too much in Aso Rock, does not transverse the length and breadth of Nigeria to know what is really going on in Nigeria. And the brief that the security agencies are giving to him and people that are in charge of it is not a proper brief.
All right, Jide Johnson, let's also still look at the leadership newspaper where you have the APC has done more than the United States government in infrastructure, and that's according to Fashola. That has gotten a lot of reactions, in the couple of hours.
They were let Fashola be living under an illusion. I don't know where you write an exam for yourself, you mark the exam, you score yourself, and you declare the result. He's the Minister of Works. He's coming to give an account of being the Minister of Works for 7 years. So he's trying to justify. I'll just give Fashola a clue. And there are two major routes that I'll talk about. A1 in Nigeria, as far as Nigeria is concerned, A1 is Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Is the gateway to Nigeria from other parts of the country to Lagos. Now, what has happened to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway? How many years have they been doing it? God will help them in Jesus' name. And let's look at Lagos-Badagry Expressway. When Fashola was governor of Lagos State, he made all kinds of promises concerning that corridor. Lagos-Badagry Expressway is a corridor from Nigeria to other parts of West African countries. It's what I call the ECOWAS corridor. What have they done concerning that route? So he's just fooling himself. He's engaging in self-deception. He's playing the ostrich, burying his head in the sand, and the whole of his body is out. And in what way has Nigeria done more than America in terms of infrastructure? I don't know what he's saying.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'm looking at the record of the Buhari administration as far as infrastructure investment is concerned. He also made a statement. He said that the Buhari administration has spent more than any other administration has spent, especially the previous administration that was in power for the previous party. 16 years.
Spending money, Kofi, spending money is one thing. Getting result is another. The fact that you have budgeted money and you have allocated money and then you have disbursed the funds for this project does not mean that you have done the right thing. So spending money, you can spend more.
They've completed. He said they have completed 971 kilometers of roads, and that he wants Nigerians to show him which administration or which government in the past few years, especially from the PDP, 16 years in power, completed at least 50 kilometers of road. Federal government. He says it's not happened, and they have done 971 kilometers.
But I know quite right that when he was governor, he had issues with government, which Jonathan later reimbursed with most state governors collecting money back from federal government with respect to projects they've done on behalf of the federal government, and then with them reimbursing. It was under him that becomes a major problem in reimbursing state government with the funds they expended on construction of roads. Look, Fashola is fooling himself. He's just fooling himself. I'm sorry. He's fooling himself. He's taking his self-delusion. Where are the roads now? Tell me. Where are the roads? Let me tell you about Lagos. Let me talk about Southwest. At least I don't go to any part of Nigeria, but I'm sure I've been to Bauchi. I've been to Gombe. In the last 6 months, I've been to Bauchi. I've been to Gombe, and I traveled by road from Bauchi to Gombe, and Gombe back to Bauchi. So and by here to this place, but I've transversed the length and breadth of Southwest. I want to ask Mr. Fashola, what's the state of road between Shagam to Ore? That's in the Southwest. I'm asking him. That's the corridor. If you want to get out of Lagos, out of Southwest, to go to any part of the country, it's either you go through Shagam Ore, or you go through Ibadan, Ife, axis, and depending on wherever you are going to and the veil of those roads. Or you tell me about Ibadan in Lorry. What's he saying? Is he high on something?
Okay, thank you, Mr.
I
Johnson.
don't understand where these people get the effrontery to insult the sensitivity of Nigerians. Has he ever traveled from Abuja to Lagos by a road? Ask him. Anytime journalists are interviewing the minister, let them ask him, when was the last time he traveled from Abuja to Lagos by road? He's from Lagos. He's the governor of Lagos. He was the governor of Lagos State. He's the minister of works and transport. He shouldn't be flying by here to Lagos. He should travel by the roads that he has constructed. They should ask him those tough questions and not allow him to insult the sensitivity of Nigeria. When did he travel from Abuja to Lagos by rail?
Mr. Johnson, we have to move on. I wish you had more time on this particular issue, but it's still on the front page of the Leadership Friday. The investigation by the panel set up by the Police Service Commission into DCP Abba Kyari, and his relationship with Hush Puppy. The report has been presented by the panel, but the Police Service Commission, through its Department of Police Discipline, after studying that report, said it's not thorough enough, and they're recommending that another investigation be conducted into this same matter before taking a decision. What's your take on this?
Very clear that from the way and how quickly the police panel came up with their result was very, very indicative of the fact that there was not a thorough job was not done. Thorough job was not done. So it's not surprised that the Police Service Commission rejected that particular report and calls for a review. And we wait for the review because the facts are there in the public domain. It's just that we don't have the entire facts, but some of the loose facts are there in the public domain, and you piece them together. Where a police officer turned himself to a tailor and providing tailoring services to the people that are engaging that are allegedly engaged in fraud, it's cause for concern. So it's an issue still under investigation, so that we don't abuse or corrupt the process or prejudice what is being investigated. But I commend the Police Service Commissioner for saying that, you know what, you need to look at this particular report, because the credibility of Nigerian police is at stake. The credibility of Nigeria is at stake. Our integrity as a nation is also at stake. So I support what the Police Service Commissioner has done.
Okay, and quickly as we close this segment down now, let's look at the accusation, the opposition party, that's the PDP, accusing the federal government of hiding under fuel subsidy to siphon 3 trillion naira. I mean, just yesterday, we also had the reports, from the Minister of Finance saying 3 trillion naira is what has been budgeted for fuel subsidy for 2022.
Well, it's okay. I don't know what to say.
Daily Independent newspaper.
Now, I don't know what to say, but except that whether subsidy or not subsidy, we don't even know what is happening. They've taken us for granted and for a ride for too long. And we're subsidizing. Where the president was in opposition, he said if anybody is seen talking about subsidy, that person is in Nigeria. And how do we come about subsidy? Yet we are paying more for petroleum products than we have ever paid in the history of this nation. That's the question you need to ask ourselves. What they told us, if you go back, I keep telling, is the best way to make sense of reality. Observed realities. You do a content analysis of what the newspaper have reported over time. If you do a content analysis of stories in the last 23 years of democratic governance, and your focus, which will be a longitudinal study, your focus will be on petroleum subsidy, you will be shocked at how we have taken the lies and the deceptions of government, not this government alone, but successive governments in Nigeria under this present democratic situation, taking us for a ride when it comes to subsidy payment and non-subsidy payment. Who are they subsidizing and what are they subsidizing? That's the question. And it's as a result of people making money, fleecing this country. That's why they have not put in place the critical infrastructure that is required to ensure that we not only extract our oil, we process our crude oil, into various petrochemical products and petroleum products that we can use in this country for local consumption and export to foreign countries, rather than be importing these products that God has naturally endowed us with. It's like someone that knows the season. He lives in the Arctic, and then he has the material to make wool to protect himself from the biting cold of living in the Arctic. Then he will now export the wool, and then he will now remove it.
Thank you very much, Jide Johnson. Quite interesting analysis. I wish you had more time, but we have to go. Jide Johnson is the chief lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, and he's been a guest on Off the Press right here on The Breakfast. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you. Wonderful weekend.
All right. Up next, let's take a look at what happened today in history, of course. We'll be back after that with the first major discussion. The APC primary elections have held in Ekiti State, and the winner has emerged. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
If someone that is supposed to protect and defend has been given the mandate to attack and punish, naturally, everything else goes wrong from there.
Record it, charge them to court.
That's like a
different I've seen people who have charged last man to court and they've won because they stood on their grounds. They had all their
facts. It's people that have time.
And exactly.
I mean, how will I leave my
business?
I don't have that kind of time.
Is it supposed to be like that? You get to court, a case that will take a year or 6 months will be lingering for several years. So people will lose confidence in the system. Exactly. There should be a total overhaul of the system.
It's just rinse and repeat. So, and if the trigger is not fixed, it's going to continue being a rinse and repeat strategy. And any strategy that works, I mean, it's business sense. If it works, why don't you change it?
That's it.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
If it's all trending in the entertainment industry, then we'll definitely be talking about it.
We bring you the funny, controversial, and hottest topics making waves in the entertainment scene worldwide.
We also interview all your favorite celebrities and keep you locked down with fun segments and live performances. Tea Time, showing every weekday at 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and of course the repeat at 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. 2 days after the PDP in Ekiti State held its governorship primaries, the ruling All Progressives Congress APC held its own governorship primaries in the state yesterday with Biodun Oyebanji, a former secretary to the state government, defeating other aspirants to emerge winner. Oyebanji believed to be Ibrahim Oshinawo, who is a former member of the APC presidential.
It's a great day for democracy. I think, of course, in APC, there is no loser, there is no winner. We are all colleagues, I calling on my brother, Senator Kwame Bamidele, Senator Adeyeye, and co, to support the candidate. It was yesterday. So I think it's a welcome development. So I don't want us to ponder more about that. There has to be a winner, one winner, just one winner, and there has to be a loser. So, and they are not loser, they are co-contestants, and they should work for our party to emerge and support Governor Kayode Fayemi. I think that's the best shot. The winner has emerged, so we have to move on. So don't forget that the PDP has conducted their own, and Ayo Fayose is not, a cheap goat in there. He's a grassroots man. They have to look for a way to tame him so that we can continue, to govern Ekiti State and stop the rotational, leadership in the state. Ekiti State is traditionally a progressive state, so we have to cluster that, victory yesterday and ensure that we have resounding victory of even far over 120,000 votes that Oyebanji scored yesterday. So I believe they should work with the governor and the candidates. So we thank the governor that came to conduct the election. It was actually a thorough election.
Mr. Sino, thank you. You said that the aspirants like Opeyemi Bamidele and co should pull together and support Governor Kayode Fayemi rather, following the emergence of this the former SSG as the flag bearer of the APC. When you say they should support Governor Kayode Fayemi, he wasn't on the ballot. He was not contesting. So how do you mean? What do you mean by the aggrieved aspirants should support Kayode Fayemi, who is the current governor?
Let me tell you, whether they like Kayode Fayemi or not, he is a leader. Since the day of Chief Adebayo, the President Minister for Trade and Investment. So if you know his history, he's a grassroots man. He has been in the state. So to support Kayode Fayemi, I mean is that he is the party leader and delivering the state for APC after his exit after 8 years is, what they should be thinking. And after Oyebanji, the likes of Fayemi and the rest of them can come on board and, and become the governor. But right now, we can't afford to lose Ekiti. Ekiti is predominantly a swing state, like Oyo State. So we don't want to lose Ekiti to opposition again. If you lose Ekiti to opposition, a state like where you have Fayose and Oyo State, that's going to spell doom for APC in the Southwest. So they have to work with the governor and the candidate and the party at large. Some of them are still in the Senate. Some of them have been a senator. It happens on both sides. Like in PDP, you have Mrs.
Candidate of the incumbent governor. We know the antecedents of governors over the past few elections since 1999. Each time a governor is leaving, he would prefer to put an aspirant who will be loyal to him in government house so that he can continue to have some sort of influence on the affairs of the state. And you would agree with me that most governors would not want to put politically strong and independent-minded candidates to succeed them so that they can continue to exert control. You are saying the former Secretary of the State Government, who now is the flag bearer of the APC, is a grassroots man. Are you telling me he's more popular than the aggrieved aspirants like Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, who has held positions right now? He's in the Senate. He's been a commissioner in Lagos State before, and he's widely known. Are you telling me that this former Secretary of the State Government is more popular than Senator Dayo Adeyeye and others? Are you telling me he's more known, widely known across the state than these people, since that's what you're talking about?
I think you have answered a couple of questions that you're asking me. Let me go down the road, and so that I can at least, expose you to a few things I don't know. You said Opeyemi Bamidele has been a commissioner in Lagos State, not in Ekiti State. This guy has spent, I'm not his spokesperson.
But he's a senator right now. He's won a senatorial election.
Look, election is won in this country by structure. If I bring you out as APC candidate and the structure of party is there, you will become a senator. I'm not saying Opeyemi Bamidele is it's a low belt that you're not going to, find him as a worthy candidate in the APC. Yes, he is. All of them are immensely qualified. But Oyebanji is not a fry. He has been in the state. He's a local boy. When they say somebody is a local boy, he spent most of his political career in the state. He's a pure breed local boy that is known. He is known. He's just a gentleman, from the distance and from few of my friends that knows him. He's just a gentleman. But in Ekiti State, Oyebanji is not who. He's not. I don't know. He's not a cheap god. So he knows he has been in the state as a commissioner, chief of staff. He has been in the state as a PhD. So many things. He has worked
has he contested and won an election before? I mean, you were the one talking about popularity. You were the one who brought up the issue of the candidates and their credentials and the fact that Oyebanji will be the best candidate in terms of his extension into the grassroots of Ekiti State. But has he contested, just to know him better, has he contested any election and won in Ekiti State before?
Look, when Governor Fayode came, he has never contested for a local government chairman. He has never contested for councillor. But as at that time, the structure of the party and the people of Ekiti State believed that they need somebody that is more exposed and enlightened like him. Same way, Oyebanji, same way to Governor Adeyeye, Minister Adeyeye. Mr. Adeyeye crossed into from PDP to APC in less than a year, and he got a senatorial ticket, and he was elected a senator. Okoyemi moved to Ekiti from Lagos. In a party that is well organized and structured, he won election back to the Senate. So what are we talking about? So if you are saying that Oyebanji, who has spent most of his lifetime in Ekiti State, most of his political career in Ekiti State, is not popular as a grassroots, of course, that person must be a joker. I'm not going to measure.
I'm just asking if he has contested and won an election.
It doesn't really matter.
Just to know. Are you saying no, he hasn't?
Okay. He hasn't. Let me tell you, look at Governor of Lagos State. I'm giving you instances, people who have never contested an election, and they contested for governor, and they won. Governor of Lagos State has never, sought for elective position, but he was nominated for a governor, and he won. He won a primary against a sitting governor, a sitting Lagos State governor. Today is almost 3.5-year governor in Lagos State. And so many others like that. So it doesn't really matter whether you have contested or not. What matters is your popularity, your consistency with the party, your loyalty to the leadership of the party, and to the people, finally to the people of Ekiti State, who will be the final judge in this case.
So, according to the report, have withdrawn from the the polls, talking about the primaries that were conducted on the grounds that they had party loyalists in the system. So would you say that, the Ekiti governorship primary election that was conducted promoted the issue of internal democracy? Would you also describe it as fair? And secondly, don't you think that with all of these issues right now, the abnormalities that's been reported that had witnessed with the APC in Ekiti State, would this not further divide the party and cause internal crisis in Ekiti State?
Direct primary is the most linked, democratic process of nominating a candidate. A pure one of that Ekiti. I don't always measure, the authenticity of a primary with crowd that is in there. But what I can say is that what happened in Ekiti yesterday, from my observation, and a few members of the committee who are friends of mine, it was a pure and genuine and legitimate primary that was conducted yesterday. And that shows that there is a high democratic process that played out in Ekiti yesterday. We now got emerged from all the 16 local governments, and it has been happening. People, when you notice that you cannot win in a primary, you will reject. It happens in PDP, it happens in APC, it happens in another party. When you notice that you can't win an election, you will reject it, and that is the joker of politicians. So it's not a big deal. What happened? The process was transparent, the process was clear, and it shows that we are developing in our process of nomination. So it's not a big deal. The process is clean and clear.
So would you say that it was the method of adoption for the governorship candidate was a consensus, or it was direct primaries that was adopted, or indirect primaries? What would you call what happened in that elections?
That's a direct primary. No question about that. Nobody can question that.
In a case where you have 7 candidates withdrawing from the election on the grounds that you have, the Godfather system actually playing, where the former governor is having a hand influencing the system, you call that direct primaries?
I'm sure you have to be careful of your choice of word. Those are allegations. I can tell you are a thief, but I have to prove that you are a thief. Those are mere allegations. And the politicians, how we do, a lot of shenanigans will take place. Of course, Governor Kade Fayemi, for instance, has the right to just one vote in his ward. So who are you talking about? So those are informations, and honestly, I don't really react to allegations and and the rest of it. I want a fact so that we can discuss fact, genuine figures on the table. Those are mere allegations. I don't want you to get bothered about that. Those are mere allegations. Godfather playing out.
So let's also talk about the fact that a lot of people are not dissatisfied with the system of, picking who would be the flag bearer of the elections come June. Do you see further agitations? Do you see people going to courts?
In APC, I can speak for APC. You have the right after exhausting all the parties, reconciliation process. You have the right to go to court and challenge if the process is not clear. It doesn't really matter. APC is a democratic party. You can go to court and challenge the process if you feel it's not clear. But you have to make sure you exhaust all the process, the internal process of the party, to make sure that, things are good losers sometimes. You can't win all the times, So those are the things I see, sometimes you be a good losers. So for June nomination, a lot of things is going to play out. I want us to be a little bit, mute on that, because hopefully the president will sign the amended electoral bill. Let's see if he signs. If he signs, of course, the atmosphere will change, obviously. So we'll be able to discuss further, details about the new bill that will channel the process of the election and nomination. So I think we can't give a good judgment to that right now until the bill is signed. Then we'll see what's in the bill. Then of course we can shed more light about that. But without the bill that is pending on the table of the president, I think we have a limited conversation. We can have a limited conversation on that.
Mr. Ibrahim Osino, you are a politician. You have a lot of experience. You were a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of the APC. If you were to contest an election primary or a primary election in the APC, and you go to that election the day before the election, you find out that the presiding officers and the returning officers are all government appointees or loyalists of the governor in the party, because everybody knows who everybody is. You know who is who supports who. Will you be worried about the outcome of the election and the fairness of that election for someone like you who may not be considered in this scenario close to the governor?
You said an ally of the governor. All the aspirants that you mentioned that you are referring
government appointees. Government appointees.
Government appointees. I don't know the government appointees you are talking about. In PDP, I don't like to propose into their affairs, but you are pushing me there. In PDP, Fayose is not a sitting governor. Governor Udom, who is the chief electoral returning officer, is a governor, is a sitting governor. They know themselves. Oludimi know the sitting governor. Everybody know themselves. I have friends in PDP, I have friends in APC. Do you get what I mean? So nobody is going to say, because he's a governor for everybody. He's a chief
No, I asked you a simple question, sir. If you went into an election with the knowledge that one of your opponents won, is preferred by the governor, and that the returning officers and presiding officers for that election who have been appointed for that election are government appointees, will you be confident in the fairness of that primary?
My brother, these are mere allegations.
Will you be confident in the fairness of such a primary?
That question should not be posed to me. When by grace of God, I'm coming to the Senate or to House of Reps by grace of God. When I make my final declaration, you will know. I will inform your channel. Then by grace of God, you can pose that question to me. But on Ekiti, I'm a party lawyer, man. Governor Fayemi is the leader in the Southwest. He's the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. So, answering that question directly might not be fair on anybody, because Governor Fayemi, by virtue of being a governor and a leader in this country, will know We know a lot of people. And those guys you are talking about are also senators, they are influential, they know a lot of people as well. So those questions cannot really directly answer by me because they all of them knows this particular person. And besides, I don't want to bother you too much. Governor Kayode Fayemi has a constitutional right to support whoever he feels is capable. He will go to the ballot with just one vote. In this primary, just one vote. So why mention it?
But Ibrahim Osino, you said Governor Fayemi is the leader of the party in the state, and he can support. Yes, so and you were saying he can support whoever he wants support to. Fill the result sheets, so they don't have confidence in the fairness of this election, so they will not even go there to be embarrassed. So isn't that something to be concerned about? That you don't have neutral people appointed, or people who may not necessarily be, or just a mix. You take people from different factions and different camps and say, okay, let's have all these people here, not government appointees.
You know what is good about this party. In a couple of days, maybe on Monday, they can approach all the allegations you are mentioning. I'm not aware of it. That all those guys are all those, I don't know, the returning officers are government appointed.
Can you hear me, Mr. Sino? Well, this is what some of the seven aggrieved aspirants who withdrew from the race in the early hours of Thursday are saying. They're saying that they've noticed that the names they've seen of the returning officers and the residing officers are government appointees and loyalists of the governor in the APC, and they're not confident of what we're written down as a result that day. I don't know if I didn't watch. I don't know if the plan to ensure that to make the supporters or the voters queue behind the poster of each candidate was carried out. But if that was carried out, then of course it will be plain for everyone to see. Do we still have you, Ibrahim Osino?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Perfectly,
So I don't know. Are you aware of the mode of voting yesterday?
It's a direct primary. It's an open.
So
you bring the poster of each candidate.
Okay, fantastic.
And you keep behind it, and that was what happened. Go and do your research.
Okay,
You'll find out
fantastic.
that's what happened.
All right.
And tell them to approach the National Appeal Committee that will be set up by the National Body of Party. They should approach it and file their complaint. I don't want you to bother yourself on allegations. Let's discuss facts.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So basically, this was open for everyone to see. Each voter
very
queued behind the poster of their preferred candidate. Okay. The APC has been bedeviled with internal crises and wranglings, splinter units, parallel factions, parallel excos, parallel chairmen in some states of the federation, parallel ward elections and state elections or congresses as well. In Rivers State and in Zamfara State in the last elections, because of the plethora of court cases, the APC was not on the ballot in the general election. Opeyemi and co are saying that if this process was not cancelled, that they will have no other option but to go to court. In fact, they said, we want the process to be cancelled because we don't want the committee to embarrass our party by forcing us to confront them in court. Are you not worried about?
It will be defeated landslide in Ekiti because of what the present government has done in Ekiti. Now, there are some statements you read out there that are dreadful in nature, and I don't really want to go. I'm not from Ekiti. I have no link with them. I don't really want to go more into their internal issue, but I can tell you that if they approach the court, the candidate and the party also will meet them at the court, and most of them will be seeking renomination very, very soon. So they should take the party. I will encourage them to go to court and take the party there. Then we'll see how it goes. So I don't want to make comments, or polish their statement. I don't want to promote any one of them. So they should approach the court. Sometimes, I said it, you can be a good loser. I've been a good loser. I've contested an election that I won, The result, I don't know. I approached the appeal committee. So it's not a big deal. I will encourage them to be a good loser and work for the party rather than wasting their resources and constituency money on the failed mission. So I can assure you, Fayoshe will be defeated automatically. So, his candidate and PDP are nowhere to be found in the PT, I can assure you that. So it's not a big deal. The party leader who happens to be Governor Fayemi will perform credibly well, will campaign, will showcase what he has done. This is his second term in office, and he knows that he needs to file a return with the people of Ekiti. So, and the party has immense confidence in his leadership. So there's no big deal about that, honestly speaking. There's no big deal about that. It's no big deal about that.
Okay, so just as we, close this conversation down, one of the issues that have actually bedeviled, our democracy and the political structure across, different political lines. So now, not talking as an APC, member, but speaking as a politician and as a Democrat, what would you say and what can we do to build internal democracy in our system?
If you look at the text of the present bill that, Senate and House of Reps has amended, being, sent to the president for our Senate, what I would say is that, we're still a developing nation. A lot of things needs to be put in place in terms of, echoing what internal democracy is. And I believe that the National Assembly has done a fantastic job in amending, for you to do direct, indirect, or consensus candidate. And they have, underneath has placed a stringent process, for a candidate to be nominated. There has to be a ratification, there has to be this, there has to be that. So a lot of things. That's why I said we might not be able to discuss much until the president assented to the bill and we have something to discuss, because it's going to be a brand new process. It's going to be a new process of nomination, and everybody will fit into that because it becomes law after the assent. So I would suggest that we should wait. I support internal democracy and down for it. But this bill that we are waiting for to be assented to by the president will address most of these questions that you lay, for me to answer. It will make a good, deal out of it once the president assents to it. And I'll be glad to be here another chance. Some you lose some. And in this